I was standing in my mother's kitchen when I finally understood that the man she loved most in the world had never once existed. By the time I found the messages, $230,000 of her retirement was gone, wired in pieces to an account on the other side of the world. Here's the part that still frightens me most. She broke no law, tripped no alarm, and smiled every single time she hit send. For 8 months, she had a boyfriend who called her beautiful every morning and never once turned on his camera. It started with a wrong number text, an apology, and then an accidental conversation that felt like the first good thing to happen to her in a year. I promise you this: everything that happens next, you will be able to see coming, because I am going to show you every single warning sign we missed. The names in this story are changed, the mechanism is real, and somewhere tonight the exact same script is running on someone else's mother. 14 months after my father died, my mother was still living alone in the house they had shared for 31 years. Her days had a small, careful shape to them: coffee, the garden, a phone that almost never rang before dinner. She had run their household finances for 31 years without a single missed payment, sharp with numbers and nobody's fool. Grief leaves a visible shape online, in an obituary shared or a status gone quiet, and that shape is exactly what these platforms are built to find. Recently widowed and divorced people are contacted at a far higher rate than almost anyone else online, and it is not a coincidence. So when a comment appeared under her post about the tomatoes in her garden, warm and specific and clearly from someone who had actually read it, she answered. She told me later it felt less like meeting a stranger and more like being noticed for the first time in a year. Within a week, he had a name, a career, and a face, and none of the three belonged to him. He said his name was Richard, a security consultant on an oil platform overseas, recently widowed himself and achingly easy to talk to. He once sent her a photo of a birthday dinner he said he had cooked himself, plated on a stranger's kitchen counter 11 time zones away. By day 4, he called her his person, by day 9, his future, and every message arrived exactly when she was most likely to be lonely. There was always a reason the camera would not work. A bad connection, a strict security policy, a promise that next week would be different. 2 months in, he was the first person she spoke to every morning and the last person she spoke to every night. He never once asked her for money, not yet, because the men who run these scripts know that patience is the entire product. One evening he mentioned, almost offhand, that his portfolio had quietly doubled again that month. He said he felt guilty keeping the strategy to himself and offered to show her the trading app he used just to look. The app was polished, official-looking, and branded like something out of Wall Street, with her name already sitting in a welcome banner. He suggested she start small, only $200, just enough to watch the number move with her own eyes. It moved. Her $200 became $230 by morning, exactly the kind of proof no spreadsheet could argue with. Every gain she saw was fabricated by the platform itself, a number with no market and no trade underneath it, built only to be believed. She was not being greedy. She was being shown exactly what she needed to see, in exactly the order designed to erase her doubt. By the second month, she had moved $11,000 from savings, and the app told her it was already worth $19,000. Richard never pushed. He only ever mentioned, gently, what she was missing every time she hesitated to add more. That one clean withdrawal, small and fast and real, was the single most expensive thing the scam ever gave her. By month 5, she had opened a home equity line against the house, certain she was finally catching up on retirement. When the balance on the app finally read $340,000, she tried to withdraw it all and take Richard out to celebrate in person. Only $230,000 of that number had ever been real. The rest was profit the platform invented so she would never think to log off. The platform froze her account and demanded an 18% release tax before a single dollar could leave, payable only in crypto, only that week. She did not have the tax in cash, so she borrowed it, not yet knowing that money sent as crypto almost never comes back. It was a small, ordinary phone call, her asking to borrow $4,000 just until Thursday, that finally caught my attention. I asked to see Richard's photo, saved it, and ran it through a reverse image search before she had even hung up the phone. The face belonged to a physical therapist in Ohio who had never heard of my mother and had been fighting stolen versions of his photos for 3 years. The trading app itself did not exist in any regulator's database I could find. Not the SEC, not FINRA. Nowhere a real firm is required to be listed. I sat with the proof open on my screen for a long time before I could make myself walk into her kitchen and show her. Showing her Richard's real face on my laptop was the hardest thing I have ever done at that kitchen table. She did not scream and she did not cry right away. She just went very quiet and asked to see the photo again. She asked how long he had been someone else, and I did not have a number that would not break her. We called her bank's fraud line that same hour and filed a report with the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center before the sun went down. $230,000 of it was gone for good, moved and converted faster than any institution could chase it. But the bank froze the pending 18% tax transfer before it ever left her account, and that alone saved the last of what she had. Richard, whoever and wherever he actually was, sent one final message that night and then simply stopped answering forever. 6 months later, my mother and I sit at that same kitchen table most Sundays, going through her statements together on purpose. None of this means every online connection is a scam, because the honest ones will always be patient with your questions. It means the honest ones will video call without excuses, and the dangerous ones will always have a reason not to. If you ever suspect this is happening to someone you love, the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center takes reports free any day at ic3.gov. Speed is the only real weapon a family has once the money starts moving, so report within hours, not days. We did not get most of her retirement back, and the lesson cost her more than any of us can ever fully repay. If someone you love is suddenly, wonderfully happy about someone they have never met in person, ask him to prove he is real before you ask anything else, because the one question I asked too late is the only thing that could have kept a man who never existed out of my mother's kitchen.